Hey everybody, this is Troy Alexander, Inspiration with Troy Alexander. One more time, we have a special day and a special guest, and I am so excited for you all to be with us on today. I got a thumbs up from the producer. I'm excited tonight. Listen, y'all, follow us, stay connected with us. We're on Facebook, as you see, Troy Alexander. We're on YouTube, Inspiration with Troy Alexander. Listen, y'all, we on Instagram. I love to take pictures at Pick by Design. Stay connected with us. Our website, called to inspire.org. Called to inspire.org. Listen, this show every week is to encourage you to hold on to your dream and never give up on your dream. You know my motto, dream, take that step and walk with purpose into your destiny. Listen, I got one point of purpose that I want to share with you before we introduce our amazing guest for this afternoon. Listen, why are you trying to edit in your mind what has yet to be written on paper? Start writing. Listen, so many times we procrastinate. We wait, trying to figure out everything, to dot every I and cross every T. I'm encouraging you. Put it on paper. Write the vision. I'm encouraging you today. Don't listen. Everything might not be in place, but you got to start somewhere. And I'm encouraging you today to start going after your dream. Why? Because it belongs to you. Listen, y'all, today, we have an amazing guest. I am so excited to have. She is broadcasting from Germany, everybody. Yes, I said it, from Germany. Listen, she is the founder and creator of Becoming Chi. Mission is to simply tell inviting stories through poetry, blogging, and adventure with hope to evolve, share, and inspire others to write stories of their own. Listen, she is classically trained pianist. She is a classically trained pianist, which we will hear a little bit later. She has a Bachelor of Music at Montclair State University in Music Education, currently teaching music education grades 3 through 6 in Germany. She has traveled to Ghana to study traditional West African music in 2017 and has traveled to over 13 countries. I want to introduce none other than CHIOMA OSSAI. Welcome, CHIOMA. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much, Troy, for having me on here. I'm so grateful for this opportunity and for those that are tuning into Facebook Live, as well as those that are tuning into Clubhouse. I see some people coming in, so thank you guys for tuning in, and I'm excited to jump into this interview and to just have a great conversation. So thank you, Troy, for inviting me.
No, thank you so much. Listen, I gotta ask you, when did you know that you had a story to tell?
Right. So honestly, for me, I believe it started when I went to Ghana. Honestly, my trip to the motherland, my trip to Africa for the first time, and I went to Ghana, and it just changed my whole perspective of just life and culture. And I was surrounded by storytellers. I was in a field of storytellers, and because I went there to study African music, drumming, and singing. And so it just amazed me to be around people that really had messages and stories to tell through their music. Every class that I took, everything had a purpose, and every song that I learned had a message. And so to me, that's when I really started getting into the point of storytelling, and, really started just appreciating the art of storytelling in music specifically. And then I kind of just applied it through, to all aspects of my life. And so that was something that I definitely brought back with me on that trip that was like really changed my life. And those people that I considered to be mentors became my family, And so that's when I feel, for me, the whole purpose of storytelling came about, So I think that's when it started.
That's phenomenal. And the one thing that I love about you is you are ever evolving. Like you are ever growing, so I want to talk about a little bit about your website, Becoming Chi.
Yeah.
Why did you, because for me, words are so powerful.
Absolutely.
Why did you choose the word becoming to represent you to the world?
Yeah, I think, I was kind of at a point in my life where I was going into this like transition stage, right, of my life. And I was just evolving and growing, and I was just, like I said, becoming, this person that I am today. And so I felt that that was the most fitting word, because I think in some shape or form, that's what we're all doing, right? It's like we're all kind of becoming a better version of ourselves. I'm a better version of myself today than I was yesterday. And so I'm constantly in the state of becoming, I'm constantly in the state of evolving. And so for me, that's kind of where that was coming from, especially when I was just going into this transition of my life where I was growing, I was growing, and that can kind of take the shape of all forms. Growing doesn't always have to look like a certain way. People think that, oh, like you're kind of happy go lucky, right? It's like growing can be painful.
Yes.
Growing can be painful. And so for me, I just felt like that was kind of the best word to describe the person that I was trying to become, or I am becoming, was using that word. So that's kind of where that came from.
Well, listen. I know for a lot of people that stability is important, right? So they getting to know who they are, and change isn't always the best thing. Why? You said it, because it's painful. It's sometimes unknowing.
Yep.
How did you go from Jersey, New Jersey, moving out to Germany, because you were here? And I believe you told me that you only moved there about 6 to 7 months ago, right?
Yep. It's about 8 months now. Yeah.
8 months. So to me, or for most people, that might be a scary transition. Why was it necessary for you to move at this time? And what has that move done for you, or helped you grow more into?
Right. Oh, that's such a good question. Yeah, right. Like, am I crazy moving during a pandemic, especially? Yeah. So for me, like I said, when I started traveling more, and I started, just seeing more life, and being exposed to different cultures. I mean, I was born and raised in New Jersey. I've lived there all my life. And so when I started traveling more, and I started especially solo traveling and going to these places by myself, I just had this thirst, this like, for culture, and I just really wanted to experience that. I wanted to experience something new. And the crazy thing is, when I found out I was coming to Germany, this was before, right, the pandemic kind of blew up into what it is, and was even, I think this was before it even started to kind of come into the States, right? And so everyone thought, oh, this was kind of something over there. But no, now it's kind of affected all of our lives. But this opportunity came about before I even knew that coronavirus was going to impact us as much as it did. And yeah, I was just kind of in a point where I just wanted to experience something different. I wanted to experience something new. And I just had that, like I said, I had that thirst for it. I just wanted to experience a different culture. And so I was like, you know what? I want to travel more, and I want to explore. Why don't I, and I literally remember I Googled looking up different ways to, or different job opportunities to be able to like live abroad. And since I was in education, that was the thing I wanted to go through. And so I remember this one influencer saying, oh, she taught abroad, and there were like international schools where she was able to go to and, have this journey of living abroad and working. And I was like, I didn't even think of that as an option. And so I looked into international jobs and international teaching, and started that search. And so now I landed here in Germany. Yeah. So it's been a crazy journey, and I'm so blessed to be here.
Have you learned anything new about you being in Germany?
Where do I start? I learned patience. I think that has to be one of the biggest ones. And not to say that I wasn't patient before, but I really had to have a higher level, higher tolerance of just being patient with myself, being patient with the process of moving to a whole nother country during a pandemic. you know, being patient with the feelings that would come about from moving across the world, right? Away from all of my friends, all of my family, in a foreign culture. So it was just, yeah, it was a learning process for me. And that was probably the biggest thing I learned, to be patient with myself. And I think the other thing I learned was to take a chance. I think I realized how strong I was. Like once I moved, I was like, oh, I can, like, this is something I can do. You know what I mean? Like I had the courage to do it. And I was able to kind of just like recognize that. And I think also with the support of my friends and my family, that made it even more possible for me to be in this space, even though I was by myself. So I learned that like I actually had the courage and the independence to do this, even if at the time I didn't believe that was possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to have this moment with you, to be a part of your journey, right? As we both continue to evolve. But I have to ask you, when did you become comfortable telling your story? Because telling your story it's equivalent to being open, honest, and vulnerable at the same time. And so when did you become comfortable being vulnerable with telling your story?
I love how you phrase that. When did I become comfortable with being vulnerable? I don't think you ever are in a state where you're completely just you're comfortable. I think that's the whole part of growing. I think you have to continue to be uncomfortable in order to grow, you know? And so to answer that question, I'm still learning to be comfortable. I wouldn't say I'm comfortable, as in like, I'm just, okay, I made it here and this is who I am. In that sense, I feel like I'm still learning to be uncomfortable, you know? And I think, sorry, that, can you hear that's my
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I think I'm still learning to be uncomfortable. And so for me, it's not about, like I said, you know, like it's being comfortable. It's just about learning to sit with that discomfort. And so that's kind of something I'm learning to do. And there's a lot of things that I feel like I'm definitely more comfortable with. I'm definitely more comfortable with telling my story. I'm more comfortable with being vulnerable. I'm okay to be vulnerable now. Because I remember there was times where that was a foreign concept to me. You know, I was like, no, I'm gonna just, you know, be in my space and let myself be. But when I kind of finally start to open up and be okay with this idea of being vulnerable and being okay to be vulnerable, I think that's when I really started to kind of open up more, and also having that support from, you know, friends and family and my surrounding community. I think that really helped me to just be okay with just like being myself, you know? So yeah.
Yoma, what you just said is going to help so many people, because you talked about being uncomfortable and growing in that.
Yeah.
So you know that you're growing when you are uncomfortable. I love that. That's a point that so many people don't understand and realize, that to grow, you have to become uncomfortable. And I love that about you in terms of what you just shared, and what I'm seeing. And it's wonderful. It's powerful. I got to ask you, you talk about poetry.
Yeah.
And that being a vehicle to tell your story. When did poetry become a part of your journey?
Oh man, I'd probably say since middle school. I think that was my first passion, my first love, even before music, even before poetry. And you know, my mother is actually an English teacher, and so I kind of naturally just developed that love for writing. And I remember having like weekends where we would just have like our reading time or our story time, and we'd go to the library and we would just read, you know, or we'd have a time where we're at home and we would just pick a book and read together, and so that idea of just storytelling, right? That just telling stories.
Yes,
I was
yes, yes.
fascinated with that. And so I kind of naturally, like I said, grasped to the idea of writing and just being able to write down my thoughts. Like when I couldn't express it or articulate what I was trying to say, I was always able to kind of write that down.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's been with me since middle school for sure. And just having a mother who had a passion for reading, had a passion for writer. And I later found out that my mother also used to write poetry.
Wow.
I didn't even know that until like in my adulthood. So that was really kind of cool to realize that, oh, she also wrote poetry. So, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, right? And so I have her books still of all the poets. She's still managed to keep that collection of poetry that she wrote years and years ago. So I still have that with me, as a reminder that I come from a family of storytellers.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is amazing. Listen, because not only are you telling your story, but your mission in becoming chief is to inspire people to tell their story.
Yeah.
What do you hope that people will learn or know by telling their story? What's the purpose? What are you hoping that as they become uncomfortable with telling their story, what do you hope that they gain or learn or know more of?
Themselves. Why not? I feel you have to, right? Because you're with yourself every day. Wow. You're in your body every day. And so you better get to know that person, because you're stuck with that person, right?
Absolutely.
So I feel there's something beautiful about discovering yourself in multiple ways, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. I think that is an important stage of growth. And so, yeah, I think I would want others to learn to be uncomfortable with themselves and learn to get acquainted with themselves and take the step and the risk to discover who they are, because we already have the tools that we need, right?
Yes.
In ourselves to succeed, to be happy. It's just about reaching in. It's about reaching into the tools that we already have to be better versions of ourselves.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, be comfortable in your skin. Learn to discover your skin and be comfortable with that.
Wow. I got the two things that I thought about when you were speaking. And one is as you began to discover you, did you find parts of you that you did not want to really go any further in learning about? Because some parts of us are so painful. Some parts of us are very painful, and we don't want to open up that box again.
For sure.
But as you began to evolve, did you find that there were some spaces in your journey of you that you really didn't want to continue getting to know more of?
Oof, that's a deep one. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, who doesn't have their own demons in their closets, right? I'd have to say, yeah, there were definitely moments where I felt that. I think there's kind of almost like two sides of you in a way, because there was definitely a side of me that was kind of like the negative side that would kind of tell me to give up.
Wow.
To like, you're not even, it will never happen, like just stop. Give up now. Like that negative side that's just telling you that you're not worthy, you're not deserving. And I've had those moments, and I've had those conversations with myself where I felt that way, where I was in places that I was just like, can I get out of it? And I think for me, yeah, I definitely had moments where I felt defeated. I felt you know, unworthy. I felt just, you know, I wasn't in the best mindset. I wasn't in a place where I could push myself to continue. And so there were moments where I did feel like giving up. You know, absolutely. Even moving here, you know, I was like, can I do this? Can I actually do this? And so those moments are kind of what, for a moment, paused. Not, I wouldn't say it paused my growth. I think I still grew through that. Yes, but I think it definitely made me kind of sit back and think first, you know. And so I had to kind of redirect myself and like literally have talks with myself. Like, okay, you can do this. And I started to get into, more so actually when I moved here, into meditation and into just saying positive affirmations. And so that kind of became my like comfort that helped to always push me through, even when I wasn't feeling my best, even when I felt, you know, negative or just not in the right space. That really helped me to kind of just like get through.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Wow, that's powerful. Powerful. I love it. I love it. I love it. You see, everybody, why I think she's so amazing and phenomenal. But listen, I gotta ask you, really, being a classical pianist.
Yeah.
Now, when I see a person with that gift, and with any gift, right? Those who are at the highest level of exemplifying that gift. To me, there's such a push to be perfect, like so good.
Yeah.
Like no mistakes, right? Right. To be at the. Do you feel that gift kind of spilled over into your life where you felt like you could not make mistakes?
I definitely would say yes to that. Probably when I was in college and being around other amazingly talented artists, pianists. Yeah, there was pressure to perform all the time. You know what I mean? And so there were times where I felt like I wasn't enjoying it anymore, you know, because I felt like I had to perform, I had to be on, I had to be perfect, you know. And, you know, there's something about having to be in front of a panel of teachers or judges and having to like put on this performance for grade. There's something about that almost feels unnatural and can be very intimidating, you know, especially for those that aren't, maybe don't feel as confident in themselves or aren't at that high level where they feel like they should be, or they started playing late, you know. And so there's this unnatural pressure, I feel, especially in schools and in academies and things like that, where, yeah, you definitely have that pressure to perform and that pressure to be on all the time. And, you know, it gets tiring, you know. And I remember we were talking about this earlier, but yeah, at a point I had to kind of take a step back from that, you know, and like literally give myself a break from playing, because I needed that mental space to be like, okay, oof, let's look at the why again. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you in this? And so I needed that space to realize, you know, that I came into this to begin with because I was passionate about it, because I really just enjoyed classical music and just music in general. And so I kind of had to go back to that, you know what I mean? Why am I here? And so once I was able to kind of reevaluate and reset, then it didn't seem so much as a job, but there were definitely moments where it did. And so, yeah, for sure, I definitely had those moments where it felt like I had to be perfect. And then I had to step back and say, no, you don't.
Absolutely. Yeah. Amazing. Listen, I want to explore that why.
Yes.
Right. So I want to ask you, is the why different now than it was in college?
Ooh, yes.
And if yes, what has changed?
Well, to begin with, I was still very insecure. You know, I wasn't as confident, like not insecure, but I wasn't as confident of a musician as I am now. I was still very, you know, kind of new, still kind of figuring out what my story was, you know?
Wow. Wow.
And so, yeah, I think during college, it really was more so about trying to get through, honestly.
Yes.
Trying to get through and just figuring out, like experimenting and figuring out what is my story, what is my sound, you know, how do I, you know, kind of have ownership over my music and myself, and while still being authentic. And so, yeah, college, I don't think I was sure as to what my, you know, what the reason was. But I think now it's more so, yeah, I'm very much more sure about my story. And for me, it's not about perfection. I think it's so easy for us as performers to get into that, you know, idea of perfection, perfection, perfection. But yeah, for me, it's now about embracing all parts of me, embracing the process, you know, and really just learning to be, like I said, comfortable with the uncomfortable. You know, I think that's more so now where I'm at in my life and with my story. So yeah, I'm definitely much more clear about that now.
I think so many people that have gifts, and I'm always interested to learn about their journey in that, you know, they have this passion, but then the passion becomes a responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And they feel that shift.
Yep.
And so, but I've seen some people when they've understood that and they've made the transition from passion to responsibility, they begin to not really want to go back to the passion part because they feel like, you know, it's going to possibly revert me back to the responsibility side.
Yep.
So what gives you the confidence and the assurance now of your foundation that now playing is just for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just you now, right? I mean, you're not playing for someone. You're playing. Right. Well, let me ask you this: did you feel back then that you were playing for someone as opposed to playing for you?
Of course, of course. You know, I felt like, well, when I first went into college, that wasn't the case. It was straight up passion. It was just about me just loving music. Right. That's why I went to music school to begin with. But it started to turn into a responsibility as time went on. And I was like, oh crap, I gotta learn this piece because we got a performance this week, or I have, you know, my finals coming up and we do like a performance final. And so I was like, oh, then it started to become like a job. But I think honestly, and this is a whole nother conversation, but there's some type of toxicity just about the college environment that needs to be talked about because we don't talk about it. And I think students who are in college are probably some of the most, I'm sure there's a high percentage of students who have experienced high levels of stress, have experienced anxiety, have experienced depression, just because of being in school, you know? And I feel like school shouldn't be a job. It shouldn't be to that level of stress where you feel like you're just so anxious and depressed. It should be enjoyable. It should be about you learning and growing. And when they put all these pressures, and when I mean them, I mean the system, I mean the academies, I mean the universities and the administrators who are part of these universities, when they put this extra stress on students to perform, to do well, to have finals, it takes away that joy of wanting to go to school in the first place. And so, you know, so that's a whole separate thing, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, I feel like now that I'm not in that environment, I hate to say, but I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong. I had some amazing professors. But now that I don't have to perform for a grade, I really can just perform because I want to. That has really allowed me, and also taking a break. sometimes we have to take a break as artists, not even just as artists, but as just people in general. Whatever job we do, sometimes, yeah, it can be very taxing, and we have to learn to take a break and be okay to.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
a combination of me taking that break and, just being out of that environment really helped to shape me into the musician I am, and to just be a little bit more passionate and a little bit more casual about it. Like I can really just enjoy it, especially during this time, right? Because there's
Yes,
still
absolutely.
nothing, you have all the time in the world now, right? And so it's kind of giving me that time to reflect and once again look back at the why and enjoy performing again. So yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, listen, I want to ask you when you've done so much in your journey thus far,
Mm.
and I want to ask you, in this moment in your life, do you feel that you're in the introductory phase of a new part of your journey? Do you feel like you're in the middle of the content of what you're writing, your story, or do you feel you're coming to a conclusion at this point and beginning something brand new?
Right. I don't think there's ever a conclusion. I think maybe stories, maybe actual physical books have have an ending, or movies have an ending, but your life is evolving, it's ongoing. And I truly believe even after death, there's still a life after this that some of us might be aware of, some of us might not be aware of. But yeah, I don't necessarily feel like there's a conclusion. I feel that my story is still ongoing, and I feel I'm probably in the middle right now, where I'm kind of at this accelerated rate of just really being in the evolving process and the reflecting and the growing and the shaping. And so yeah, I think I'm in the middle, and I'm don't ever think there's going to be an end. I think that's kind of the fun part about it, is like, what's next? There's always something kind of new to come after it. So yeah, for sure. I think that's where I am.
So what's in the next chapter for
Yeah.
CHIOMA? What's in the next chapter of your journey that we may not know about, that you're able to share with us, if you can?
Yeah.
What's next?
Well, on a personal level, continuing to live my truth and be completely honest with myself, and building a community of people who are willing to do the same. Really kind of surrounding myself with that support of people who are willing to tell their stories. And then outside of my own personal, in terms of like projects and things that I'm working on, I'm actually working on publishing my book. And so I'm publishing a book of original poetry about my experiences, and how my experiences have shaped me and how they have made me who I am today, And so, this is one of the biggest things that I'm working on, because this would be my first book. I'm planning on self-publishing. And there's still in the works. I have kind of the poems and the body of it. Now it's just about the logistics, and I just found a cover designer who's actually based in Berlin. And so I'm working with him on how I kind of want the cover of my book to look, and working on just like the little details of it. But I'm hoping and planning to have this book published by the summer. That's my goal. And so the title of it is going to be Becoming Chi, The Journey to Self-Preservation. And so that's my next project. And then I'm also actually getting my master's in education and administration and leadership. And this is something, like I said, in this time around, I feel more in charge of it. And this is something that I enjoy doing. And I'm big on making sure that I'm doing this because I love to do it, And so, so what I'm doing now is getting my master's, like I said, in administration and leadership. and, you know, just working on continuing to grow and learn. And then outside of that, I'm, you know, teaching full time as a band director here in Berlin, and, you know, building, honestly, I've been really, really into building platforms, especially on Clubhouse. And I'm thinking of even creating a room for like just artists, like all artists, not just musicians, not just poets, not just dancers, but all artists. I'm planning on doing that on Clubhouse sometime within the month or next month, and just creating a space for artists to connect, to collab, to create, to talk about issues that are important, you know, in the visual and performing arts world. So yeah, that was a mouthful, but yeah, so there's a lot of
Listen, I'm excited for you. I'm telling you, Chioma, I'm excited for you. Again, I said I'm proud of you, but so excited about what's coming next for you, because so much. I mean, really, the world is really your platform to be able to just go forth and share and grow and learn. And so that's wonderful. I saw absolutely. I saw you doing even like bringing artists onto your Instagram live. Yeah, and giving them a platform. Yep. Why did you feel necessary? Why did you feel that was important to do?
I think for the biggest thing for me was connection. And when the pandemic happened, we lost that, right? You know, everything was on lockdown. We literally could not go anywhere. And so as an artist, naturally my instinct is going to be to connect, to collaborate. And it made me kind of go back to like my college days where my friends and I, like after class, we just go into a practice room and like we just have a jam sesh. You know what I mean? That was what I missed. That's what I craved, for just collaboration, connection, live performance. We lost all of that. And so for me, when I had these online jam sessions and open mic nights on my platform, it was really to connect. It was really to kind of get that, you know, form back of just being able to perform with other artists and collab and you know what I mean, in ways that kind of got disrupted when the pandemic happened. And for me, it was so filling. It was so filling. I mean, I had one of my good friends, Aurora, on there, who came in and, you know, she performed, and we later on did our own collaboration. We did a piece by Alicia Keys, If I Ain't Got You, and we collabed on that. And it was just so cool to, you know, even go and do that again, you know, even though it was online. So it was just cool to have that space where different artists would be able to just come up and perform and do their thing. And there was no judgment. It was just an open space. And so that I loved. Yeah.
I loved it. And what you just said was so powerful. No judgment.
Yeah. No judgment.
And that's a powerful place to be in, is to be free, that you know where you are. Yeah. You know what your purpose, what your mission, what your passion is, what your calling is. And even if you don't get any likes, it doesn't change who I am.
Right.
You know? So that's powerful. I wanted to ask you, like when you play now, what do you feel? What is it that you feel? And on the flip side, what do you want those that hear you to feel and to I'll stop there. Feel. What do you want them to feel?
Okay, well, so when I play, I think the best word to sum that up is, that's such a good question. I probably would have to say rawness. I feel rawness when I play, because it's really just me and the sounds that I create. And I'm able to connect in ways that I can't when I'm just speaking or when I'm writing. And so, yeah, and just being able to tap into that, you know, spiritually, is such a big thing for me. So, you know, like I said, I can't wait until, you know, I play, because yeah, that's part of the experience, being able to really feel that rawness. And I think for others, I want them to just feel. I want them to just feel, what some people, I think for many people, when you hear an artist, when you hear someone that you really enjoy listening to, it brings out so many emotions, whether it's good or bad. And so I think when others are listening, I want them to just feel whatever shows up. I want them to just allow it to show up without judgment. I think for me, that's the biggest thing for sure.
Well, I only have just a few more questions for you, and I want to ask you because this just dawned on me. So many of us are fearful of um, being alone or going out to take the next step or taking a journey without necessary supports being around us. Were you raised like to be so independent, or did you have to get to a place where you said, you know what, I need this for me, and you decided to take that step?
I think it's a combination of both. I feel like I was definitely raised to be independent. My mother raised 3 kids. My mother and I, my sisters and I, we grew up with our mother mainly. Not to say we didn't have our dad around, of course, but we lived under my mother's roof. We lived with her, and so of course, I learned independence. Watching her, change careers literally while we were young. She changed careers. This is when she went into teaching. She was actually in sales before that. So she changed careers and went into teaching. And she went back to school while, and she did that because she had to make time for us in the summer, and if she was in sales, she couldn't do that. And so she did that career switch so that way she would be available. And so I remember her, even after that, she still continued and got her master's, and literally after work would go right to class from like 6 to 10 p.m. And to me, I was so inspired by that because she was so motivated and so driven. And it wasn't, it wasn't about her. She was doing this for us. And so I definitely learned independence from her, because even for me, I'm the oldest. And so growing up, there were certain responsibilities I had, and having 2 younger sisters. And so I did feel kind of responsible for them, right? In a way, because,
Sure.
When she was going to school, I was usually the one watching them, and I was old enough at the time to do that. And so, yeah, I definitely learned independence from her. But I also feel like even me, like I said, even me moving here, that was like a further step for me to even gain even more independence, because now I'm separated from everything I've known all my life. And I'm put into this new environment and have to learn to adjust, and learn a new culture and learn a new language. And so there's so much newness coming in that I think it even makes me that more independent, because I'm able to kind of do this. And luckily I'm blessed enough to I have family here from my father's side, and they've been so supportive, and having that as well has been helpful, but it's definitely been an overall journey of just independence and coming into my own, for sure.
Well, I am so, I listen, applause. Again, I can't say enough about, I saw your Instagram page. I see your inspiration. You've traveled to 13 countries. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah. The stupid lockdown is over.
You are where's the first place that you want to go after the lockdown is done?
So many. I'd probably say Morocco. I would want to go to Morocco. I think it's such a beautiful country. I think Africa in general is such a beautiful country. And yeah, Morocco, I'm just so fascinated by the architect and the culture and the food. And so I would want to just like experience all of that. And definitely I would love to go to Morocco, for sure. That'd be the first place.
Listen, I want you to just take a few moments and just speak to the one that's watching this now live or that will watch it in the future, who just have not yet found a place where they feel they can move forward. So whether it's fear, whether it's their past, whether it's their current, their moments now, for whatever reasoning, just don't feel they can take that step. What would you say to them to encourage them to follow their dream and to take that step?
Yeah, I would definitely say you're not alone. You're not alone. I've been there. We all have to some extent. And you know that it's okay to feel scared, to feel vulnerable. And it's okay to take your time. It's a process, to not rush that, you know, to just know that you're not alone and that there's people out here that have been through that, and to tap into that community and that support, and know that there are people out there that are willing to support you. And I'm always like willing to hear people out and listen and just, you know, support anyone in any way I can, because I've been there, you know, so I understand to an extent, and everyone's story is different, you know, so there might be things that we haven't experienced, but there's still a level of understanding, there's still a level of respect. And so I would just want those that are out there that might be struggling to understand that you are not alone, and that you can tap into those support systems that are there, that are in place to help you get through something, especially when you're going through something difficult. Yeah.
You know, I just want to say, is there more you want to share with us? Because I definitely want to get your contacts. I want people to know where to find you on social media. And if you have anyone that you want to give a shout out to or an acknowledgement to, but is there something that I have not asked you that you want to share with the world at this moment? The platform is yours.
You know, I want to say thank you. I'll start there. Thank you, Troy, for having me on here, because it's motivated me to continue to share my story and to continue to just try to uplift, you know, the culture and uplift anyone who's listening. And it's honestly motivated me to get back into playing for myself, to get back in, because I remember we were talking about this before. And yes. I don't know if people do know this, but like I said, I struggled sometimes as a pianist, feeling like, am I good enough? You know, do I deserve to be here? And so I had to kind of rewind, you know, like I said, and reset myself and realize that, no, you are deserving of being here. You are here for a reason. You have something to attribute, to add. And that's why you were brought into this, you know. And so I have to remind myself that, you know, I'm meant to be here. And so you bringing me on this show really inspired me to just continue to tell that story and to perform and play for myself, right? Because as an educator, a lot of the times, my time is dedicated to my students. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes we forget as teachers that we also have to give time to ourselves. And so this was kind of like a reminder for me. So I thank you. And yeah, with that said, I also would love to perform.
Yes.
Something, you guys.
Absolutely. So, and before you perform,
yeah.
Tell us, where can everybody find you? Instagram? Are you on Twitter, Facebook, whatever?
Yeah.
Clubhouse?
Yes. So my handle is pretty much the same throughout all platforms. I'm on Instagram as Becoming Chi, CHI. On Instagram as _ Becoming Chi. And then I'm also on Clubhouse as _ Becoming Chi as well. And thank you to my Clubhouse fans that have stuck around. You guys are great. This is actually the first time that I'm starting a room on Clubhouse. So I'm just happy that I have listeners, that I have people that are just willing to just be here and listen. So thank you guys. I know, I want to say Chasia, I hope I said that right, has tuned in from the beginning. So thank you. So yeah, I'm very, very just like excited to be able to be on these platforms. And yeah, definitely follow me, connect with me, And hopefully I'll even be back when I
Yes.
my book.
Yes. You know you're coming back. You know you're coming back.
Yes, I would love to be back. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
that's great.
Well, thank you. Oh, and also remember her website, www.becomingchi.com.
Yes.
So make sure you check that out as well and follow this amazing young lady in her journey and be inspired to tell absolutely your story as well. So the floor is yours. I believe you're going to give us a wonderful piece that you want to share with us.
Yes, and before I say the two guys that are watching, if you haven't already, please follow Troy Alexander. Also on Instagram, Picked by Design, amazing photographer. Once again, I want to thank you for having me. And yeah, so I guess with that said, I will be performing. This is one of my all-time favorite pieces by Aram Khachaturian, who's an Armenian composer. And it's his toccata. So here we go. I'm just gonna kind of close the room so there's not close the door so it's not echo. But yeah, we're gonna start.
Absolutely. Listen, everyone, we are so excited to have this amazing young lady to perform a piece live. An inspiration with Alexander. It's an honor.
I've performed in, oh man, it's been a while since I've like performed.
But this is the first time we've had a guest actually perform live on our broadcast. Yes.
Great. I'm gonna put it so you can see.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see?
Yes. Okay.
All right, here we go. You can hear it, right?
Yes. Yes, we can. beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh my goodness.
So
That was so beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you
That
so
was
much.
so beautiful. I thank you so much for sharing your gift with us and with the world. We are honored so much to have you, and I cannot wait to have you back on our show.
Feedback. I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Do you have any more words? That was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That was so moving. And I can't tell you how it just truly beyond words.
Oh,
Truly beyond words.
it felt great to perform again, you know. I was really nervous. I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, it felt really great to just be able to perform again and just, you know, just like let the emotions flow, you know. So thank you. Thank you to my clubhouse. People that are in. I will be talking with you guys in a moment. Just to thank you guys and thanks again, Troy, for having me. Honestly, I'm so happy and just grateful for this opportunity, and I can't wait to join you again. So
thank you, CHIOMA. Listen, everyone, CHIOMA OSSAI, please follow her, connect with her, and get ready because you're going to hear and see so much more from her. The world is so much brighter because of your gift and because of you. So thank you so much for being a part of us, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, CHIOMA.
Thank you, Troy.
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Everybody, this is Inspiration with Troy Alexander. Thank you so much for joining us on this special day, special time. Again, all the way from Germany. Thank you again. Yeah. We appreciate you. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time. And again, you know my motto, dream, take that step, and walk with purpose into your destiny. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you, CHIOMA.
Bye. Have a good one.
You too.